Now, if you're following us on InfoPH at Nigeria InfoPH is where you find us on Facebook. You can also watch us live on YouTube at Nigeria InfoPH 92.3 at Nigeria InfoPH at 92.3 on YouTube. Now, the finalists, ladies and gentlemen, they are sat down in the studio with me. It's going to be a very interesting one this morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get there very shortly. But before we do that, let's say hello to both of them. Good morning to you, ladies.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Miss Kokoette. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Fantastic. And Miss Akinwade. Marvellous, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, sir.
All right, so now it's interesting that we have an all-girls affair, but let me ask you guys, how do you feel that it's all girls that made it? Let's be honest. Oh, they're laughing.
I feel good because it proves that what a man can do, a woman can do.
Ooh, okay. What about you, Kokoette?
Well, I feel good because it shows that female education is not a waste of time.
It is not a waste of time. They've already started giving you guys points. Well, this morning, they are joined by their family members and their supporters. Mrs. Kokoette Confidence is here. She is in the waiting room, in the conference room. We're saying hello to them. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We have teacher Annie also in the conference room. How are you doing, sir? I can see you. You can also follow us on our Facebook page. You get to see them live. And then we have Pastor Tayo Akinwade. And that's Tayo's father. A very proud man, I must say. I'm sure he's just excited, waiting to hear his daughter do amazing stuff. Well done to you, sir. Good morning to you. Fantastic what that you've done. Giving a thumbs up to you, Tayo. I don't know if you can see your dad here, but he's just here in front of our screen. And also Mrs. Ifoma Tayo Akinwade, Tayo's mom as well. You have your family backup ready this morning. Okay,
yes,
all right. So, now, I gotta ask you guys, have you both had breakfast?
Yes, sir.
Let me guess, bread? Did you have bread and tea too? Or akara, moi moi?
No,
What did
I
you
had
have?
meat pie.
That was it? Wow, what about you, Kokoette? What did you have?
I had rice.
Rice, full tank. Okay, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting to it right now. So, to the parents, to the teachers, thank you very much. We're going to this very difficult stage right now. They're in the hot seats, the hottest of the hot seats this morning. Your thoughts and prayers, and indeed, your best wishes, and I would like to say mine as well, to these fantastic debaters. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, wherever you're listening to us from, whether on the shores here in Nigeria, where they're going to go to very shortly. For and against. The topic for this final debate is privatizing healthcare in Nigeria will lead to improved access and quality. Let me take that again. Privatizing healthcare in Nigeria will lead to improved access and quality. So, ladies, can you please look at my hands as proof that the decider is in my hand for and against the debate, right? You guys did not write this. I'm shaking this. I don't know what it is, okay? And as always, I will pass one to you and the other to you. So please quickly open the pieces of paper.
4.
You are for the debate, all right? That's Miss Akinwade, and that means Miss Kokoette, you are against the debate. So they know what angles to take. They know where they're heading to. Unfortunately, neither of us and them know who is going to be the winner. The gauntlet is about to be set. The supporter of the motion, in this case, Ms. Tayo, you are going to start us off. The rebuttal statement will start with Ms. Kokoette, and then the closing argument will be started by you, Ms. Tayo. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the bells are about to toll. The points are about to be revealed. The arguments are about to be laid down. The decisions that may just decide 1 million naira starts now. All right, Ms. Akinwade, once again, good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
All right, so you know the drill. Your microphone is engaged. You have 4 minutes, as always. We can see the clock in front of me. Do what you can with the time you have. 4 minutes on the clock. Your time starts now.
Privatizing healthcare in Nigeria will lead to increased accessibility and quality. Oh, indeed it will. Good morning, everyone. I'm Tayo Akinwade Marvellous, a student of Effort Secondary School, Port Harcourt, and I'm here to propose a motion which says that privatizing healthcare in Nigeria will lead to increased accessibility and quality. First and foremost, if we privatize healthcare in Nigeria, it will help eradicate strikes and all its accompanying consequences. The frequency at which government healthcare workers go on strike is alarming. If the doctors are not on strike, the nurses are on strike. If the nurses are not on strike, other supporting staff are. This leads to untold stress and death on the parts of the patient. Yet, these striking doctors still find their way back to the privately owned healthcare facilities and offer their services there, even while on strike in the government-owned ones. Also, most private healthcare facilities in Nigeria have more ambience. They are more hygienic, their environments look more tidy, neat, and organized. This alone gives the patient a glimpse of hope that they will be well looked after. Like the saying goes, cleanliness is next to godliness. Also, if we privatize healthcare facilities in Nigeria, we can help rehabilitate the dysfunctional systems. Here in Rivers State, Governor Rotimi Amechi built primary healthcare facilities in almost all local government areas in the state. As we speak now, majority of those healthcare facilities that were built by him are no longer functional, and the ones that are functioning below capacity. Also, it will help reduce costs on the parts of the government. Instead of the government to continue budgeting money to run and maintain these healthcare facilities, they could invest in education or other sectors. These private healthcare facilities could still become a source of revenue to the government through tax payments. Also, it will help drastically reduce the ratio of the doctor to patient ratio in Nigeria. The number of patients a doctor attends to in a private owned healthcare facility is far lower than that he has to attend to in a government owned healthcare facilities. This reduces stress on the doctor and allows him to do his work more effectively. Also, it will increase healthy competition among these private healthcare facilities. Each of them will be striving to be the best, offer the best services, and treat their patients in the best way possible, thus increasing their quality of service. Also, it will increase the commitment of healthcare workers. In private-owned healthcare facilities, diligence and hard work are rewarded, unlike in the government healthcare facilities where people are paid according to the number of years they've worked. This makes them more relaxed and nonchalant about their jobs because their jobs are irresponsibly secure. Also, privatization of healthcare in Nigeria will give patients a variety to choose from. For example, you may choose to consult by proxy. You may choose your own appointment. You may choose your own appropriate time of appointments. Your drugs may be delivered to your doorstep or at your place of work, and so much more. Also, most privately owned healthcare facilities are more technologically inclined. It is mostly in private healthcare facilities that we have digital record keeping, which is more effective than files and folders that could easily be misplaced. We have AI-powered diagnosis, which helps get more accurate diagnosis rather than using physical symptoms and head knowledge. Also, it will help eradicate corruption in the medical sector. We hear of millions of naira that are budgeted to the medical sector, yet we see no commensurate improvement. This is because this money still finds its way back to the pockets of corrupt individuals in society that does not give room for improvement. Also, it will help reduce time wastage and encourage prompt service. Sometimes, in government-owned healthcare facilities, people wait in excruciating pain to be attended to, and in extreme cases, some even die while waiting to be attended to. This will all be ended if we privatize hospitals in Nigeria. Lastly, privatizing healthcare facilities in Nigeria. Private healthcare facilities in Nigeria are more open to partnership and collaboration with experts that are all over the globe, whereas the government-owned healthcare facilities may not be very flexible in their operations. And I believe that with these points I've stated, I have convinced you that privatization of healthcare facilities in Nigeria will indeed lead to increased accessibility and quality. Thank you.
3 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock, ladies and gentlemen. That's what's taking for her to give us our opening statement. We are waiting with bated breath. I can see the families and indeed the supporters of our guests in the studio. We'll be back after the break because it's time for us to get to listen to the opening salvo of the opposer of the motion, Ms. Kokoette, God's goodness.
This is I Beg to Differ on 92.3 Nigeria Info. The conversation continues in a moment.
All right, Ms. Godgoodness, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, all right. And you need to speak directly into the microphone. Don't be shy. Okay. All right. Good morning once again.
Good morning, sir.
All right. So we have you live and everybody is paying attention. Once again, 4 minutes. You can see the clock. It's been reset to zeros. Fair time, same amount, 4 on the clock. Your time starts now.
The business of healthcare is too important to be left into the hands of private businessmen. Good day, panel of judges, presenter or moderator, my opponent seated here, and to our audience listening from various platforms. My name is Godgoodness Kokoette, proudly from Venocrest Schools, Port Harcourt, and I am seated here today to oppose the motion which says that privatizing healthcare in Nigeria could lead to improved access and quality. Now, privatizing healthcare in Nigeria could pose many dangers. My points are: 1. Reduced access to care. Privatizing healthcare in Nigeria could lead to prioritizing profits over genuine care for the patients. 2. Reduced access to health services. Privatizing healthcare in Nigeria could lead to reduced access to health services, especially to the vulnerable population, such as the poor, the elderly, and to those with pre-existing conditions. 3. Increased healthcare costs. Privatizing healthcare in Nigeria could promote class stratification and elitism, making it more difficult for those at the lower cadre of the society to benefit. 4. Compromise quality of care. Now, with health treated more like a business, quality of care can be compromised to cut costs and increase profits. 5. Lacking healthcare in the private hands, the rural area can be alienated and do not have access to private healthcare services, especially if the topography of their terrain are difficult, thereby exacerbating already existing healthcare disparities. 7. Erosion of trust. It leads to an erosion of trust and decreased adherence to treatment plans and poorer health outcomes. 8. Unregulated practices. Many private healthcare practitioners take unscrupulous practices and other unnecessary procedures. 9. Inequitable distribution of resources. There is an inequitable distribution of resources and neglect of less profitable parts of medical practices. 10. Neglect of social determinants such as housing, employment, and education, which is critical to overall health and well-being. 11. Brain drain. There will be a brain drain of professional health workers from the public sector to the private sector, resulting in a shortage of workers in the public sector. 12. Reduce government revenue. Privatization can reduce the amount of revenue the government gets from the health sector, making it more difficult for the government to fund other public services. 13. Lack of effective regulation. Lack of effective regulation by the government agencies brings about inconsistent quality of care from private healthcare professionals. 14. Many private hospitals and clinics many private healthcares faces high cost of water, electricity, and security expenses, which can be challenging to their accessibility and quality. Also, there is the lack of information. 18. There is a shortage of specialist doctors in the private health sector, especially in areas such as oncology, cardiology, and neurosurgery. Also, 19. There is a lack of research and development. The private hospitals often lack resources for research and development, making it harder to keep up to date with recent medical advancements. Also, there's public perception. Now, there's negative public perception for the private healthcare hospitals, many people seeing them as too expensive and only accessible to the wealthy. Now, these challenges will not promote and improve accessibility and quality of private healthcare in Nigeria, making it essential for these challenges to be addressed to improve the quality of care in Nigeria. Thank you.
3 minutes and 40 seconds, very similar to that of our opponents. So the opening salvos are done for and against. It's time for us to get to, the rebuttals. And as always, the rebuttal statements will begin with the opposer of the motion rebutting the statements made by the supporter. Stay tuned.
It's a minusoma for us to wait for global support before we can fix roads, ports, and telecommunications. Truth be told, not every one of us is born into this world to actually be scholars. Some are born to challenge and question the status quo.
For over 2 weeks, we've exchanged views, we've argued, we've crossed swords. It now comes down to one final debate.
Globalization basically is the oxygen that these developing countries need to be able to stand on their own 2 feet and to be able to utilize their God-given natural resources to their own advantage.
It is also ridiculous to suggest that standardized tests can be biased because it is the lack of results from verifiable tests that can be biased. Please think again.
Tayo Akinwade Marvellous squares up against Godgoodness Kokoette as they plead one final case. Join us for the final of I Beg to Differ. Monday 11 a.m. on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Third place battle is scheduled for 10 a.m. I Beg to Differ Season 4. It's a million naira debate.
Well, our special thanks goes to Cat Tech and Co for supporting the debate. You can get deals, great deals, on your branding, printing, and designs with Cat Tech and Co. Please call them for your customized school uniform, school blazers, industrial overall, laboratory coats, cardigans, security wears, and many others. They are located at Banengi Plaza, Expanse Oil and Gas Filling Station, adjacent to Gulf Estate, Okuru Road, Port Harcourt. Or you can simply call 091-350-00846. 091-350-00846. Now it's time for us to get to listen to the rebuttal statement by Ms. Kokoette, and we'll put the microphone back on to her and get ready for her follow-up. Don't forget, at Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. YouTube, where we're broadcasting live right now, we're streaming live, is at Nigeria Info PH 92.3. At Nigeria Info PH 92.3. Ms. Kokoette, once again, good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, your microphone is on. We've reset the clock back to zeros. As you can see, your time starts now.
Panel of judges, all protocols duly observed. I remain Godgoodness Kokoette, and I want to make a rebuttal to statements advanced by my opponent that needs clarification. 1. While my opponent made the case for the private healthcare, citing their seeming effectiveness, she may have glossed their strict commercialism, greed, and exploitation rather than humanitarian consideration. 2. My opponent has failed to come to terms with the lack of accessibility to the rural poor. How many private hospitals exist in the rural areas? 3. My opponent seems to suggest the issue of underfunding. Now, why Nigeria's current health expenditure is only 4.08% of its current GDP, the solution is not to hand over to private hands, but rather to increase funding. 4. My opponents may have also suggested the issue of public perception, but then private hospitals seems to face greater negative public perception, with many patients citing them as Shylocks and insensitive capitalists. Also, when health becomes all about business, it loses its salt and becomes ineffective in service delivery. Lastly, it is right to suggest that healthcare surviving, but shown complex care could bring about health outcomes, including reduced pain, anxiety, and depression. But private healthcare are more focused on profits rather than compassionate care. Also, my opponent talked about the issue of commitments. My opponent said that public workers are paid according to how many years they have worked. But instead of this lowering commitment, it will improve the commitment of these people so they can work higher years and get paid faster. Also, my opponent said that private healthcare eradicates corruption. But a lot of private healthcare professionals show lack of accountability and transparency to regulatory and government agencies. Now, to advance my points. Privatized hospitals have the tendency to cut costs, the tendency to compromise regulatory workers, and the tendency to employ untrained hands to save costs. 2. It brings about a shortage of skilled professionals in the public sector, as there has been a brain drain of all the healthcare professionals in the public sector to the private sector. Lastly, it is an open secret that many private doctors that work in the private healthcare systems are consultants from the public health sector. Think about that. Thank you.
2 minutes and 35 seconds on the clock. It's time for us to get to hear the supporter of the motion and her rebuttal statement. Stay tuned.
This is I Beg to Differ. The conversation continues in a moment.
Well, Well, the numbers are climbing on social media as a lot more of you are paying close attention, offering your views and counter views on this debate final. I beg to differ. Tayo Akinwade Marvellous is going up against Godgoodness Kokoette for the 1 million naira prize. It's time for us to get to listen to the rebuttal statements by Miss Tayo Akinwade. Once again, good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, all right. So stay in the zone. It's time for us to get to hear your rebuttal statement. The clock has been reset to zeros. You have 4 minutes on standby for you to do as much as you can. Your time starts now.
Standing on existing protocol, I remain Tayo Akinwade Marvellous, a student of the prestigious FS Secondary School Port Harcourt, here to rebut my opponent's point. Okay, she talked about reduced access to care. Like the saying goes, what is worth doing is worth doing well. If one is really going to be cared for, then they might as well put in effort and give these patients the best of their services. In government-owned healthcare centers, their facilities are poor and in sorry states. And in private-owned healthcare facilities, their facilities are top-notch and so they offer better services. She talked about unregulated practices. This is false because they are privately owned. That is even when the government will pay more attention to their activities. But they will be more relaxed in the government-owned healthcare facilities because they are the ones that own them, obviously. Also, she talked about the struggle of many private hospitals with water and other facilities. It is misleading to believe that this practice is peculiar to the private-owned healthcare facilities. Because of their sole aim to make profit, the services are top-notch, are better in contrast to that of the government-owned healthcare facilities. She talked about lack of professionals. Like I stated before, the privately owned healthcare facilities are more open to professional opinions, not only from within, but also from across the globe, making them offer a better professional opinions to their patients. Also, government-owned healthcare facilities, she said that privately owned healthcare facilities do not want to be sited in rural areas because they'll be out of reach to the poor. Government-owned healthcare facilities are not free. Although they are funded by the government, they still sought to make profits. So even if they are sited in these rural areas, they are still going to tax these poor masses to be able to pay their healthcare bills and to be able to pay. And if they are not able to pay, it is going to be worse for them because the healthcare facilities will be in their reach, but they will be unable to afford it. Also, she said, like I said before, government-owned healthcare facilities, the health workers in government-owned healthcare facilities have their jobs irresponsibly secure. This makes them so relaxed as they do not care about striving for better performance. And she talked about brain drain and the professionals from government-owned healthcare facilities move to the private ones. Think about it. If the working conditions in the government-owned healthcare facilities are also perfect, why do they always drain to the private ones? Why are they always looking for ways to better their lives and gain more income by coming to the private ones? Because their quality of service is better, they offer better pay, and they are all round, and generally they offer better services than the government-owned ones. And I still strongly stand on my view that the government-owned healthcare facilities will still offer better accessibility. And I still strongly stand on my view that privatizing healthcare facilities in Nigeria will lead to improved accessibility and quality. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Tayo. We've listened to her rebuttal statement. The final hoorah, ladies and gentlemen. Check-out time is 11:29, getting to 11:30. That means, ladies and gentlemen, that within the next 7 minutes, all will be decided. The final hoorahs
For us to wait for global support before we can fix road, ports and telephones is born into this world to actually be scholars. Some are born to challenge and question the status quo.
For over 2 weeks, we've exchanged views, we've argued, we've crossed swords. It now comes down to one final debate.
Globalization basically is the oxygen that these developing countries need to be able to stand on their own 2 feet and to be able to utilize their God-given natural resources to their own advantage.
It is also ridiculous to suggest that standardized tests can be biased because it is the lack of results from verifiable tests that can be biased. Please think again.
Tayo Akinwade Marvellous squares up against Godgoodness Kokoette as they plead one final case. Join us for the final of I Beg to Differ. Monday 11 a.m. on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Third place battle is scheduled for 10 a.m. I Beg to Differ Season 4. It's a million naira debate.
The million naira debate has now reached its climax. 7 minutes. That's all it's going to take for a winner to be decided. The closing remarks are very important. Dotting their I's and crossing their T's as they look through their various points are Miss Tayo and Miss Kokoette. Who exactly has done better? I don't know. And I know online some of you are already proposing a winner, but neither do you. The judges have all the work right now on them. Because in the next 6 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, a finalist will come through and then a winner for I Beg to Differ 2025. Ms. Tayo Akinwade, you are ready, I hope, with your closing remarks.
Yes, sir.
Now, as always, the time has been reset. 3 minutes is all you have. 3 minutes to make the very best argument for these debates. I wish you the best. Your time starts now.
Privatizing healthcare in Nigeria will give Nigerians a lifeline. The copious challenges and disadvantages that we face in the government-owned healthcare facilities can be completely avoided. Imagine being in a hospital with leaking roofs. Imagine being in a hospital with no water. Imagine having to source for your drugs while bearing your prescriptions in your hands all by yourself. Imagine being treated of malaria and admitted in a hospital that is infested with mosquitoes. Imagine being in a hospital environment that has been overtaken by weeds, rodents, and in some cases reptiles. Imagine having to bribe nurses and doctors for them to be able to do their jobs effectively. Imagine being sent home from a hospital where you should ideally be on admission because there are no bed spaces. Imagine being prescribed drugs with someone else's symptoms because your own medical records have been misplaced. I could go on and on. Unfortunately, this is the reality of Nigeria's government-owned healthcare facilities. Should we continue in this trajectory so that deaths may abound? God forbid. But is there a way out of this? Yes, it is. Yes, there is. It is the privatization of healthcare facilities across Nigeria. Privatization of healthcare facilities will break down bureaucratic bottlenecks completely. People will be able to consult and get proper treatments from medical personnel without fear or intimidation. I will not mind the hospital facility where I'll be able to beckon on the doctors and nurses when I need the attention without being scared of being reprimanded. Privatization is a bitter pill, but it is one that cures. Take Nitel, for example. It was privatized in 2013, and ever since then, they have been able to provide quality communication service for those interested. Nigeria, given her status as the giant of Africa, have been unable to run a single refinery, but a single individual, Dangote, is able to run a refinery that is doing very, very well. My dear opponent, this is the power of privatization, and with this, I rest my case. Thank you.
1 minute and 51 seconds. The case has been rested. It's time for the opposer of the motion to give their final hoorah.
This is I Beg to Differ on 92.3 Nigeria Info. The conversation continues in a moment.
God's goodness, Kokoette, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
All right, so you know the drill. 3 minutes on the clock for your final arguments. It is your closing statement. I wish you the very best. 3 minutes on the clock. Your time starts now.
The widespread closure of privatized healthcare facilities due to lack of professionalism underscores the pitfalls of privatized healthcare in Nigeria. Of course, accessibility and quality will not be improved with such pitfalls. In the course of this debate, I have cited over 20 valid points that I believe the erudite judges are taking note of. You see, for stakeholders and policymakers to ensure a balanced and stabilized healthcare system that can withstand economic challenges and provide accessible quality care for all Nigerians, the solution lies in public health, devoid strictly of any profit-making motives. Did you know that there are some private healthcare facilities in Nigeria that are not accessible to the poor? In 2010, around the time of my birth, when the current governor of Rivers State was Sarotimi Amechi, he covered the expenses of all pregnant women going through cesarean section, something the private hospitals can never do. Take Cuba, a communist country where private health systems are discouraged. It still has one of the highest life expectancy and still has the best healthcare system. Now, take a look at the Rivers State University of Teaching Hospital. It is not in poor condition like my opponent has put it. You see, by prioritizing investments, workforce retention, and by financially supporting struggling public health facilities, Nigeria can strengthen its healthcare system and be able to provide quality access to healthcare for every Nigerian all across the nation. If a parent is not feeding his child properly, the solution is not to hand over to slave merchants. I rest my case. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Case rested 1 minute and 46 seconds, and so we rest these here debates. We'll get to hear the results for both this final and indeed the third place matchup in the next 2 or 3 minutes. Take a deep breath, people, because the real tension maker is just around the corner. Don't go anywhere. Right here, 90.3 Nigeria Info.
This is I Beg to Differ. The conversation continues in a moment.
Get into the finals very shortly, but we are in the finals rather. We're getting the results very shortly, but let's quickly speak to these finals because very shortly they're going to leave me and become a millionaire. One of them is going to, but before they do, let me greet them very well. Miss Tayo, good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
What a debate that was. You will have had everybody literally on their seats. Now that it's over, I can now show you over 30 plus listeners, comments coming through, viewers all across the world, even online, have been paying attention. How does it feel?
Feels great.
It feels great.
Yes.
Amazing stuff. Now, you've been preparing. What was your yesterday like?
Yesterday, I went to church. I came back because I have exams coming up tomorrow. So
oh wow,
I was unable to stay at home on Saturday, so I had to go for lessons. So I was because of that I could not even prepare my uniform. So I had to rush back from church, prepare my uniforms, and continue to rehearse with my mom till the late hours of the night before I finally stepped up and still did some revisions for exams tomorrow.
So it's been a very busy weekend for you.
Yes.
So fantastic job. Your parents, we can see them right now on our screens right now. Both parties have had their fingers crossed. I even saw someone making the sign cross. What a debate you have delivered this morning. You should feel very proud.
Yes, sir.
How were your preparations?
Well, my preparations were hectic. Well, I started from Friday, going through opposing and proposing all the Sunday when I had to go to church. And even in church, I was still doing my rehearsals. And then all the way back home. In fact, it was so bad that when I woke up this morning, the first thing I had in my mouth was my opposing points.
Well, both of you have absolutely thrilled us. You have given some of the best debates we've seen during these debates in a very, very long time. And I cannot tell you, how pleased we are that you both took the initiatives, to submit your proposals and your videos for us to scrutinize. And we are so proud of both of you. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, to find out who is the winner. We can see the family and friends, the teachers in our conference room. We're watching their reactions. You can also watch on YouTube at Nigeria Info 92.3, at Nigeria Info PH 92.3. Ladies and gentlemen, the results have come through. All right, so we'll start off with the third place results this morning, please. So, the third place matchup that was held an hour ago, that pit Sotonye Jumbo against Miss Oluwatoyosi. The results are out for that third place debate. Judge 1 scores 58 points for Miss Sotonye and Oluwatoyosi 50 points. Judge 2 scores that debate for Sotonye with the margin 50 points, and for Miss Oluwatoyosi 48 points. Judge 3 scores the third place matchup 69 points for Sotonye and Oluwatoyosi 59 points. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the third place matchup between Sotonye and Oluwatoyosi is Sotonye John Bull. Wonderful. I see them shake hands right now as they're in the conference room with their family watching us. What an absolute bonkers of a match that was. The points got my hair, my hands standing up. It was wonderful to see them do the same over and over again. They have been very consistent. I wish them the very best. However, we have not even hit the final bit because the final is here, ladies and gentlemen. The results have come through. Here goes. The final four, I Beg to Differ Season 4, between Marvellous and God's Goodness Kokoette, have come down to a very difficult decision. Judge 1 scores Marvellous 63 points. God's Goodness 71 points. Judge 2 scores a tie with 63 points for Marvellous and 63 for God's Goodness. The third and final judge. The third judge scores Marvellous 69 points. God's Goodness Kokoette 77 points. Ladies and gentlemen, straight up mathematics, it means that the winner of I Beg to Differ Season 4 is Goodness Kokoette. Wonderful, wonderful round of applause to the winner. Fantastic points, fantastic. Well done, well done.
To be the best, number one and nothing less. Lead me to my destiny. I have waited patiently. I have vision, though I believe. I know I can count on me. So stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up.
So I stand up for this here champion, ladies and gentlemen, because what a debate this was. They have outdone each other at several corners. Better get to this with a split decision down to the finest of margins. Ladies and gentlemen, amazing stuff, amazing. Congratulations to you, Ms. Tayo. You are a worthy opponent, and I'm very sure we have not seen or heard the last of you this morning. And to you, God's Goodness Kokoette, This is only the beginning. As we welcome your family and friends into the studio, we have pictures, optics to be done this morning. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, stand up for the champion.
Oh, I have vision, can't you see? I'm on the move, make way for me. So stand up for the champion.
This has been from the very first of the debates this year to this very moment. We've had tons and tizzles. We've had near misses. The background staff have been absolutely amazing. To the digital team, oh my goodness, to Mudiaga, to Promise, to Katie, and also to YME, who has been absolutely amazing everywhere. It's been a pleasure. To the management and staff of Nigeria Info, to our Lagos offices, to the GM, all of them every single day asking what's going on. How can we make this even better? What support do you need? Well, your support has led to hugs all over the place. As I can see them right now, they are hugging each other. The family of Confidence, Kokoette, that's the mother of God's goodness, hugging. And also Pastor Tayo Akinwade, Tayo's father, also hugging and appreciating the debaters. They are friends who have joined them, interestingly. It's becoming a full house. The celebrations are ongoing right now. But yours truly is going to take a breather. We're not done. Get ready, because we have a hot group of people. Their brains are on fire, ready to challenge the best from Lagos and Abuja. My name is Jude Omamigbe. Thank you very much for joining us in these debates. Programming continues on Nigeria Info. The news comes up at midday, and then the sunny side of conversation. But for one last time, please stand up.